Good evening and welcome to the news brought to you by Eswatini TV. I am Linton Gule. Many thanks for joining us. Here are the top stories at this hour. On behalf of His Majesty King Eswatini III, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, the government and the people of Eswatini, the Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini has expressed his sincere, heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of the 21st anniversary of the reign of the King of Morocco, His Majesty Mohammed VI. The Prime Minister says the government of Eswatini will continue to strengthen and support government agencies in the fight against trafficking in persons. World Vision has donated computers and a printer to the Ministry of Home Affairs that will be taken to the Shiselweni region and will be used in assisting people, especially young children, to receive important documents. Let's get straight to the news, shall we? On behalf of His Majesty King Mswati III, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, the government and the people of Eswatini, the Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini has expressed his heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of the 21st anniversary of the reign of the King of Morocco, His Majesty Mohammed VI. The Prime Minister says it is the hope and prayer of Eswatini that the cordial relations that happily exist between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Kingdom of Morocco will continue to grow from strength to strength as the two nations work towards achieving the greatest good for citizens in order to fulfill the flagship aspiration of Agenda 2063. Finally, the Prime Minister wishes the King of Morocco peace, prosperity, longevity of life and good health. Well, the Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini says the government of Eswatini will continue to strengthen and support government agencies in the fight against trafficking in persons. The Prime Minister was addressing the media on the International Day Against Trafficking in Persons in his cabinet offices in Mbabane earlier today. On the 30th of July, the Kingdom of Eswatini joined the rest of the world in commemorating the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons under the theme, Committed to the Cause, working on the front line to end human trafficking. The Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini says the Kingdom of Eswatini will continue to strengthen its efforts to combat trafficking in persons.
Government strives to ensure that cases are identified accurately at all levels. We are working in collaboration with the Eswatini Aviation Authority, police and immigration officials to strengthen awareness for airport users to report all suspected cases of human trafficking. Government will provide the necessary training to this team and sufficient information to the public. May I encourage all Eswatini to remain vigilant and report all suspected cases of human trafficking to their nearest police station or call our toll-free number 975. It is important to acknowledge on this day all frontliners and first responders fighting trafficking in persons across the country. We appreciate the role of each player, including those offering counseling services.
At the regional and international level, the Kingdom of Eswatini continues to honor its obligations in accordance with international instruments such as the United Nations Convention on Transnational Organized Crime. The country has collaborated successfully with international bodies such as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime as the custodian of the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. For Eswatini TV News, I am Linton Gule in Mbabane. We shall now look at a statement from the Minister of Health. It's a COVID-19 update for the last 24 hours. 26 people tested positive today for COVID-19 in Eswatini. The minister says the ministry today received 29 results, of which 26 tested positive. The total number of COVID-19 confirmed cases to date is 2,577. The country has recorded 1,377 active cases, 1,134 recoveries, only 40 deaths thus far. The Manzini region has recorded 1,181 COVID-19 patients, followed by the Hoho region with 1,026, Shiselweni 198. Finally, Libombo region has recorded 192. World Vision has donated computers and a printer to the Ministry of Home Affairs that will be taken to the Eswatini region and will be used in assisting people, especially children, to receive their birth certificates.
The World Vision Organization today donated computers and a printer to the Ministry of Home Affairs, which will be taken to the Eswatini region to assist in birth registration. World Vision Country Program Director Francis Dube says the equipment will help in improving service delivery, especially birth registration for vulnerable children and their caregivers.
We are really, as World Vision, very, grateful of the work that we are doing with the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, and would want to partner and work together so that we don't have any reason for children not to have birth certificate or to have national IDs, and let's work together and develop the necessary capacities that would allow us to deliver those services to communities.
The Minister of Home Affairs, Princess Lindiwe, expressed her gratitude to the organization for assisting the ministry, as people will now easily get their documents, and that the equipment will also improve the registration process.
This assistance will go a long way in ensuring efficiency in delivering of these services. The Eswatini region is highly affected when one considers key national statistics, and as such, supporting service delivery in this region is key. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to World Vision and pray God will continue to strengthen our partnership. May this continue even in other regions.
The United Nations Refugee Agency says there are millions of people around the world who are not able to receive services from their governments. Reporting, I'm Temalange Dlamini with Muzim Konda, Mbabane.
Well, we've just received breaking news from the Ministry of Home Affairs. The ministry would like to inform the nation that Ngwenya border has been closed indefinitely because of a COVID-19 confirmed case from the South African side. Well, we'll get the ministry, especially the PS from the Ministry of Home Affairs, Mr. Nhlanhla Nxumalo, in our Friday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show tomorrow morning with the latest regarding the closure of Oshuk border. Well, the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, has encouraged cooperatives to promote green projects among the different initiatives conducted by cooperatives that support communities in the kingdom. Khumalo was speaking in Eswatini during the commemoration of the International Day of Cooperatives.
The 2020 International Day of Cooperatives is celebrated under the theme Cooperatives for Climate Action. Sectors such as the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, and the Ministry of Commerce, among other sectors, joined the cooperatives in commemorating this day. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, says cooperatives are socially and environmentally sustainable enterprises based.
By their nature, cooperatives are socially and environmentally sustainable enterprises based on the principle of caring for their members and the communities in which they operate. This makes them well suited for substantial contributions to achieving a coherent balance of growth, productivity, and employment with a great concern for the environment.
The Minister for Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilagati, says government regards climate change as one of the greatest threats to sustainable development. Therefore, partnerships among different sectors is required.
It is historically known that cooperatives remain strong in times of crisis. Currently, the world is experiencing two crises that interact with each other. Cooperatives represent something special for the climate change challenge. It is a combination of experience and a proven track record of resilience and an unrelenting dedication to universal values, the ability also to achieve multiple outcomes at once, and flexibility and versatility.
Nhlanhla Mnisi, Commissioner for Cooperatives, pledged that they will support government in mitigating climate change causes. The government of Eswatini has formulated policy frameworks such as the National Climate Change Policy and the National Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan, which was approved by Cabinet in a bid to ensure that climate change is mitigated. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni with Nelsi Wesimelane in Ezulwini.
Now we have a statement from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security would like to inform the public that study loan applications for tertiary students for the academic year starting in 2020 have been for the first time successfully completed 100% online. The ministry wishes to thank students, parents, teachers, community leaders and everyone who ensured that the applications successfully submitted their applications online. A total of 3,970 applications were received by the deadline of June the 30th. Among these, there were 100 applications for study outside the kingdom's borders. Applications for study loans closed on the 30th of June 2020 and will reopen for 1 week from the 17th to the 23rd of August 2020 to allow students who may have missed the deadline due to unavailability of acceptance letters at the time to also log in and apply. Students who intend to change programs and institutions should contact the Study Loan Secretariat for assistance. All applicants in the system will be invited to an interview by the Scholarship Selection Board. Interviews are scheduled to commence from the 10th of August 2020 and will be conducted virtually. Applicants will be reached using the contact details provided on the applications and will be informed on how the virtual interviews are to be conducted. Selection of successful applicants will be guided by the PTET loans policy and regulations. The ministry wishes to emphasize to all applicants that acceptance to study in any of the designated tertiary institutions, whether locally or abroad, does not imply an automatic scholarship award. There's an elaborate due process followed leading to the award of the scholarship. The criteria includes strict adherence to minimum cutoff points obtained in best 5 subjects. In conclusion, the ministry says in order to ensure that students admitted in local institutions will know the results of their application before they register for the new academic year. 8,000 laid-off workers have received their grants from government's 25 million Emalangeni COVID-19 relief fund from the 10th of last month. This was said by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Tulani Mkhaliphi, who is also the chairperson of the Funds Management Committee.
As of the 24th of this month, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security reports that over 18,000 people have been laid off in the country due to COVID-19. The Principal Secretary, Tulani Mkhaliphi, who is also the chairperson of the Funds Management Committee, explains the criteria used in disbursing the fund.
The payments are made direct to the individual workers. Contrary to some information that has been circulating in the previous week that some payments are made to employers and deducted. I think that is absolutely not correct. The correct information is that once we are finished with the information as to who we should pay and the account number or the cell phone number of the payee, we transfer the money direct. And as to the amount of money that we pay, then it is calculated based on whether that employee was laid off for the full month without pay. And if the employee was laid off for the full month without pay, the employee will get the maximum relief, which is 400. But if there was a part payment, to the employee will get the difference between what he or she actually got and the maximum relief, which is 400 Malangeni per month. So that is why then probably you would find that some workers, who with the information that we received from employers, then maybe we would get a difference between 400 Malangeni and the amount of money that the worker received.
Mkhaliphi says 159 companies applied for layoffs, but 118 were given the permission to do so. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Dlangamandla with Muzi Mkhonda in Mbabane.
The Ministry of ICT and other stakeholders hosted a virtual meeting where they were discussing on how the digital divide can be closed in Eswatini.
The Ministry of ICT with its stakeholders held a Zoom meeting where they discussed internet governance in the country, from internet safety to high data costs, as well as internet and the economy, amongst other topics. The aim was to come up with resolutions to existing challenges facing the internet. Andreas Lamin, the Director of Communications in the Ministry of ICT, highlights on the gist of the meeting.
The internet is a very important tool which any nation in the world, or every nation in the world, rides on to enhance and spearhead its development. So here in Eswatini, we do have the internet service. However, we were lacking somehow from the position of the stakeholders having a voice, that is consumers, for instance, having a voice to be able to influence the internet industry in the country. So this forum is to provide that kind of platform that will give a voice to consumers, to give a voice to whoever else is a user of the internet, be it business, be it academia, so that whatever issue that you may have, you'll have a platform where you can raise it and it should be addressed.
Dlamini says they hope to improve on internet coverage and address existing challenges like that of high data costs, as well as the country as it aims to achieve its first world status. Everyone must have affordable access to the internet and information. He says they will also address the issue of those who wrongly use the internet, like writing wrong information about the country. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Mbabane.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Tolani Mkhaliphi, says interviews for scholarships awards will commence on the 10th of next month in constituencies. Mkhaliphi says due to COVID-19, interviews will be conducted virtually.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Tolani Mkhaliphi, says government will provide laptops and internet for virtual scholarship award interviews in the different constituencies for aspiring tertiary students.
Due to the COVID-19 problems and challenges, we are unable to call all students for physical interviews. So we have been arranging that we have virtual interviews for all applicants. So beginning 10th of August 2020, we will then be having virtual interviews for all our applicants. So we will be using Tinkundla centers and other facilities, in communities where students will be called in to sit and interface with the board, at Mbabane. The students that were due to travel, particularly outside the country, that in the past weeks, I think there's been a lot of talk that we had said government has stopped supporting students who wish to go and study outside the country. And that is not true. Actually, what we had said was that we are still going to process scholarships for those students who want to study outside the country using the standard that we have been using for all the past years. And that standard, is to say the student must have minimum threshold of 5 best subjects, of 30 points.
By awarding the scholarships to the aspiring students, government is in line with the United Nations Sustainable Goal number 4 and the country's higher education policy of ensuring quality education for all. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Dlangamandla with Muzi Mkhonda in Mbabane.
our sports news, the Premier League of Eswatini has dismissed claims by its former Chief Executive Officer Smangan Hlego that the two parties have a 3-year contract. The matter between the Premier League and Hlego continued at the Industrial Court today.
The former Premier League Chief Executive Officer Smangan Hlego took the Premier League of Eswatini to court after he says he was unfairly dismissed. In his papers at the Industrial Court, he says he has a 3-year contract with the Premier League that started from the 1st of August 2018 and was to end on August 2021. Hlego says the contract was terminated after a year of its existence. The Premier League, through their lawyers Fusi Dlamini, submitted that they do not have a contract with Hlego. They only offered him a job with a promise to discuss terms later, but they ended up terminating the job after a year. Hlego wants the court to rule that the Premier League should reinstate him to his original post and pay him according to the contract they agreed on, or pay him out with a sum of 750,000 emalangeni, which covers the length of the contract and the benefits. The Premier League, on the other hand, wants the court to dismiss the case with cost, or if they are to reinstate Hlego to his old position with the terms of the existing contract, but starting from the day of the judgment. The court will now have to adjudicate on the merits of the case and will hand out judgment on a yet to be decided date by the court. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi, Mbabane.
The president of the Eswatini Basketball Association, Nhlanhla Maphanga, says it is highly unlikely that the basketball season will resume this year. Maphanga says they are planning to stage mini tournaments should games be allowed to continue by government.
Basketball is among the sporting courts that are still suspended, as other sporting courts that are said to be low-risk transmitters of the coronavirus are allowed to return. The Basketball Association of Eswatini was still to kick off their season when the games were suspended. The president of the association, Nhlanhla Maphanga, says it's unlikely that they will start this season in the remaining months, even if the games are allowed to resume. But they are looking at having a mini tournament to keep the players fit.
Given the time frame, we're supposed to be done with the league at the end of September, very latest if we push it at the end of October, because November and December are FIBA calendar times for national teams or internationally participating teams. However, we are interested in ensuring that if we do resume, we get something going, and we would like to kick off with 3-on-3. There are less people involved in 3-on-3. I mean, each team only has 4 people, no coaches. So there's less exposure there. And then also we have the one commitment, which is the Young Lions Cup in December. We are now a bit worried that the qualifications are July and August, and we're not quite sure if we will still be able to send a qualifying team.
Maphanga says what makes it even more difficult to return is the fact that they do not have enough facilities to host many games in a short space of time, and the other schools' facilities they use are not open at this time. Maphanga says they will continue to look at ways in which they can ensure the safety of their players so that they may be allowed to return quickly. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi, Mbabane.
Well, that's how we come to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Many thanks for joining us. Let's have a recap of our top stories. On behalf of His Majesty King Mswati III, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, the government and the people of Eswatini, the Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini has expressed his sincere, heartfelt congratulations on the occasion of the 21st anniversary of the reign of the King of Morocco, His Majesty Mohammed VI. The Prime Minister says the government of Eswatini will continue to strengthen and support government agencies in the fight against trafficking in persons. World Vision has donated computers and a printer to the Ministry of Home Affairs that will be taken to the Shiselweni region and will be used in assisting people, especially young children, to receive important documents. Well, we shall now cross over to the weather center. Good night.